Mother, wife, and fashion designer Papama Ramogase knows all too well the calculated risks one needs to take when it comes to going it your own way. Destiny's former fashion and beauty director chats to us about her kiddies' clothing label, Butter Pudding, and how her company continues to operate given the tough clothing market in South Africa. And Papama, pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you for having us.
Much appreciated. Well, firstly, where do I start? Let me start with you as a professional in the media, because that's the space that I'm more familiar with. When it comes to cooking things like butter pudding and so forth, that's another story, let alone designing clothes, which we'll talk about in a moment. So the whole inspiration from being in the media and then starting your own label, what is it that was going on in your career, the media one, that planted the seed that one day you should start your own clothing range?
Well, the seed was planted a long time ago because I began my professional career as a fashion designer.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
I then branched out into media because I wanted to just kind of gather experience holistically within the fashion space. So I branched out into music, fashion in TV, and then went back into fashion in media. And then when I knew that I had unfinished business with the design creation and designing space. And then when I joined Destiny about 9 years ago when it started, I obviously working with such a formidable brand, I got exposed to incredible women that were doing incredible things, from CEOs of blue chip companies right to rural women doing beading in the Bundus and everyone in between. And the inspiration was just palpable. And it was just, it felt like I would be doing myself and the country a disservice for me not to kind of take a leaf out of their book and start something that would create more jobs and ultimately eradicate crime, which is basically the driving force behind what we do.
I suppose the whole point of moving from fashion design, which gave you the opportunity to appreciate the art, the elements that go into producing great works, to being in the media, also exposed you to a broader range audience of people who would fall outside the fashion world.
Definitely. I think the move was pretty seamless, I must say, because I had a brilliant vantage point when I was doing what I was doing with Destiny, basically seeing what was happening on the retail front and what was happening on the local design front, and it was not as difficult as it can be for other people.
So what then plants the idea, gives the birth to Butter Pudding? And I'm very curious about the name Butter Pudding in the first place. But I'll come back to, I want to talk about the fashion range itself first.
What was the question again?
The question is, what then planted the seed for you to go back and start producing clothing yourself?
Well, I had kids. With everything that had happened, I had kids, and I realized that there was a huge gap. And I was also, whilst I was at Destiny, I was also involved as a creative director for a retail project called Luminance. I don't know if you're aware of it.
Yeah, more.
And it got me to travel the world and seeing what the international market was doing in the fashion front. And I then realized there was a huge gap within the kiddies market locally. And I had the skill. And I wanted to just kind of tap into that gap. And also having had kids and realized that when I needed something very special for them, I had to shop overseas, or if I could find it locally, it was ridiculously expensive, which didn't really make sense for kids because, as we know, kids outgrow their stuff very quickly. So I just needed to fill in that gap.
When you talk about kids, I mean, you're talking about children of what ages? Because I wonder whether there's fashion. Me, I'm very ignorant generally when it comes to the fashion for children. I thought you just walk into any retail shop and get them whatever. If it's a boy, pair of pants. If it's a girl, then yeah, that are blue maybe or whatever. And then a dress for a young child, and that's it. There's nothing more for children.
Oh, there's so much. I mean, kiddies are quite trendy and very fashionable right now.
Yeah.
Because it's the moms or the parents that are shopping for the kids.
Yes.
And if you have a parent who's very fashionable,
yes,
of course, then they're going to look for stuff that makes sense for their kids.
Sure.
So it's not as basic as it used to be, just to get them clothed.
Yeah.
It's kind of evolved.
But what's happening anyway with the fashion for children, what are the issues there? Is it cost? Is it quality? Is it style? Is it, tell me about it.
I can tell you about what we do, the gap
Yes.
that we filled.
Yes.
And quality definitely trumps everything. We produce, we mainly work with cottons that are breathable, which makes sense for the kids, and quality in the production and in the actual garment that you produce, because we, as local designers, have a bad reputation for stuff that's not on par with international markets. So I've made sure, because I'm a sucker for quality. I love good quality garments for myself, and I get to quality check every single garment that leaves our headquarters to the customers. So we're pedantic about premium quality.
But now, Butter Pudding is the brand. The name, tell me about it.
The name, I love the sound of it. I love the way it rolls off my tongue. And that's the inspiration came from, it is a dessert, and I'm sure you know it. And what you do need to make the dessert.
I feel like having some actually now.
And that's why we named it. It's a dessert that needs the most basic ingredients, and it's ingredients that people always have at home.
Yeah.
It's usually sugar, butter, bread, and milk. And everyone always has those. But once you combine them together, something really spectacular and amazing comes out. And that's exactly what the essence of butter pudding is. We combine the simplest of designs, because we want them to have longevity, with incredible fabrics. And when you mix the two, something really spectacular comes out.
And the market, how has it responded to your clothing range for children?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing and overwhelming. We started it very small, because that's the kind of person that I am. I started it from my house with savings, my personal savings, and I've kind of let it grow organically, and it's taken a whole life of its own. We haven't embarked on any PR journey, but the people that have touched and felt it have really believed in it and have spread the word, and that's the most powerful, I believe, form of advertising, when people really believe in the product and then they'll spread the word, which is what's happened.
But then again, when the market grows, they want to know where they can find the stuff, you see. So are you in retail stores yet, or you have your own range of stores?
Because we're still in brand building phase, which is a little bit different from just selling clothes. There's a stark difference there. We are very discerning about where we go, because we don't want to just make money just now. We want to be here for a long time. So we are currently online, butterpudding.com, and then we supply a concept store in Parkhurst called Ants, for those that want to touch and feel the garments, because as we know in South Africa, we're not as where we should be when it comes to online shopping. We are also at OR Tambo on the international departure side at a store called Zulu, and we're about to export to France. We're working with a retail brand.
So you take the competition back where it belongs, because now if you're going into France, then it means you want to be where fashion is, where the whole competition is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because we started this with a very big vision. Even though we started small, we knew exactly where we wanted to end up.
But you see, things like fashion and brands and so on, they're always a concern when it comes to the pocket. That they really, it's like somebody throws a hand grenade into your pocket. You see, you've got to be careful how much you spend.
Absolutely.
What about cost?
I think people will spend if it makes sense for them, if the price makes sense for their pocket, and if the quality garners up that requires it.
Yes.
And that's where we get it right, is the quality makes sense for the price. So people, and also our clothes generally have longevity. We have coats that are reversible, so the kids get to wear them for longer. So we've been also very smart in the kind of designs that we do. We've got skirts that morph into dresses, or dresses that morph into tops.
Okay.
So there's really value. When the parents folks out, they don't feel bad that they are being taken for a ride. It's
so you can change it from this to that. You can, it's up to you.
And it grows with the kid as well.
Sure.
So you don't wear it for a season. You wear it for years to come. And because the quality is so good, you can hand it down to the siblings.
Now, people who watch this show like asking me difficult questions, and most of them I cannot answer. Things like, where should I and where do I go to obtain the butter pudding products?
Online, you can go check out our website. We are on butterpudding.com and the stores that I've mentioned previously, Ants in Parkhurst in Johannesburg and at the airport. But you'd only have to access it when you're traveling overseas because it's on the international departure side. Yeah. But online, we are very diligent with responding timelessly and we deliver to your doorstep. We work with a courier, so the stuff comes to your door.
All right, try butter pudding clothing for your children and tell me what it's all about, because a story is a story. Until you experience it, then it's a different story altogether. So it's butterpudding.com.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's where you go. Papama Ramogase has been in the media as creative and fashion editor for Destiny magazine. She's a fashion designer in her own right and now started her clothing range called Butter Pudding. Go to butterpudding.com for the clothing range for children. Much appreciated. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.